Captain Marcus Chen stepped off the transport shuttle and onto the purple soil of Velthara. His boots made a soft, crunching sound on the crystalline ground. Behind him, his small diplomatic team followed nervously. They were far from Earth, far from any human colony, and surrounded by aliens who could crush their fragile peace talks with a single word. Stay calm, smile. Remember the cultural briefing, Marcus whispered to his team. Dr. Amara Singh, the xenolinguist, nodded. Her hands trembled slightly as she clutched her datapad. Beside her, Lieutenant James Park kept his hand near his sidearm, though everyone knew weapons would be useless here. If the Veltharans wanted them dead, they would already be dead. The Veltharan palace rose before them like a mountain of green glass and silver metal. Spires reached toward the 3 moons hanging in the purple sky. Thousands of Veltharan citizens lined the pathway, their insectoid bodies gleaming in the double sunlight. They stood perfectly still, watching with their multifaceted eyes. They're not hostile, Amara said quietly, reading her scanner. Just curious. We're the first humans most of them have ever seen. Marcus straightened his uniform and walked forward. Each step felt heavy. Humanity needed this alliance. The Veltharan Empire controlled 7 star systems between human space and the resource-rich outer territories. Without permission to pass through their space, human expansion would stop. Worse, other alien species were already making deals with the Veltharans. If humanity failed here, they would be left behind in the great galactic game. The palace doors opened. They were massive, at least 30 feet tall. Inside, the temperature dropped. Marcus felt his breath catch. The throne room was enormous, with walls that seemed to stretch forever upward. Bioluminescent plants grew along the walls, casting everything in a soft blue glow. And there, on a throne of living crystal, sat Queen Zythera. She was bigger than Marcus had expected. At least 9 feet tall, with 4 arms folded across her crystalline chest plate. Her exoskeleton was deep blue, almost black, and covered in natural armor that looked harder than steel. Her head was angular, with large compound eyes that shimmered with rainbow colors. Behind her head, a crown of crystal spikes grew naturally from her skull. She was terrifying. She was magnificent. Humans, her voice boomed through the chamber. No translator needed for that one word. Approach. Marcus walked forward. His team followed at a respectful distance. The Veltharan nobles and warriors lined both sides of the room, hundreds of them, all watching. Marcus could feel the weight of their stares. He stopped at the base of the throne platform and bowed. Not too deep, the cultural briefing said, that would show weakness. But enough to show respect. Your Majesty, Marcus said clearly. I am Captain Marcus Chen, representing humanity. We come seeking friendship and mutual prosperity. Oferminda, was this of you? I am Captain Marcus Chen. The Queen's translator device, a small silver orb floating near her head, converted his words into clicking and whistling sounds. The Queen listened, her head tilting slightly. For a long moment, she said nothing. The silence stretched. Marcus felt sweat forming on his back. Then Queen Zythara rose from her throne. She descended the steps slowly, her 4 arms moving in a hypnotic pattern. She was even more imposing up close. Marcus had to tilt his head back to meet her eyes. She circled him slowly. Marcus forced himself to stand still. He could hear his own heartbeat. The Queen stopped directly behind him, so close he could feel heat radiating from her body. Then she leaned down. Her head came beside his ear. Her breath was warm and smelled like copper and flowers. I want you in my bed tonight, human, she whispered. The translator orb floated closer, ensuring the translation was accurate. The words came out in perfect English, clear and unmistakable. Marcus's mind went blank. Behind him, he heard Lieutenant Park make a strangled sound. Dr. Amara, gasped. The queen straightened and walked back to her throne. She sat down gracefully, all four arms folding again. Her compound eyes reflected the blue light as she stared at Marcus. "You will give me your answer by morning," she said, her tone formal now. "My servants will show you to your quarters. The welcoming feast begins at sunset." She waved one hand, and Veltheron's servants appeared from side doors. They gestured for Marcus and his team to follow. Marcus somehow managed to bow again. His legs moved automatically, carrying him out of the throne room. His team followed, in stunned silence. They were led through winding corridors to a suite of rooms. The moment the doors closed behind them, Lieutenant Park exploded. "What the hell was that? Sir, did she just propose to him?" Amara finished, her face pale. "Or proposition him? I don't. The cultural files didn't mention anything like this." Marcus sat down heavily on a chair that adjusted itself to his human shape. His hands were shaking now. "Get the files. All of them. Cultural, linguistic, historical. Everything we have on Veltheron customs." "Sir, you can't possibly be considering," Park started. "I'm considering," Marcus interrupted, "that refusing a direct request from their queen could end these negotiations before they start. It could mean war. Or it could mean humanity loses access to this entire sector." He ran his hand through his hair. "But I'm also considering that I have no idea what she actually wants. Amara, is there any chance this is a translation error?" Amara was already scrolling through her datapad frantically. "Maybe?" Veltheron language has 17 different contexts for the same word, depending on social status, time of day, and emotional state. Bed might not mean what we think it means. Or it means exactly what we think, and this is some kind of test, Park said darkly. Testing if humans are really desperate enough to... "Stop," Marcus ordered. "Speculation helps nothing. We have until morning to figure this out. Amara, focus on the word bed in Veltheron culture. Park, go through military and political records. Look for any similar incidents with other species. I'll review the diplomatic protocols." His team scattered to their workstations. Marcus pulled up his own files, but his mind kept drifting back to those words. Whispered in his ear, "I want you in my bed tonight, human." Whatever it meant, his answer would determine the future of humanity's place in the galaxy. No pressure at all. Outside the window, the twin suns began to set, painting the alien sky in shades of orange and red. The feast would begin soon. And somehow, before morning came, Marcus would have to find an answer that wouldn't start a war. The welcoming feast was a nightmare of confusion. Marcus sat at a long table made of polished stone, surrounded by Veltheron nobles who clicked and whistled to each other. The food was edible, barely. His team had tested everything with scanners before he touched it. The purple gel substance tasted like mushrooms mixed with mint. He forced himself to swallow and smile. Queen Zythara sat at the head of the table, elevated on a platform. Her four arms moved gracefully as she ate, using different utensils with each hand. She had not looked at Marcus once since the feast began, but he felt her presence like a weight on his shoulders. Every Veltheron in the room knew about her whispered words. Marcus could tell by the way they watched him. Some seemed curious. Others appeared hostile. One elderly Veltheran with silver-streaked armor had stared at him with what Marcus could only interpret as disgust. When the feast finally ended, Marcus returned to his quarters with relief. His team was waiting. Datapads spread across every surface. They looked exhausted. "Tell me you found something," Marcus said, closing the door. Dr. Amara looked up, her eyes red from hours of reading. "I found something. I'm not sure if it's good news or terrible news." "Start with anything." Amara pulled up a holographic display. Veltheron text floated in the air, with English translations beneath. The word the Queen used, Neshtara, in Veltharan, doesn't exactly mean bed the way we understand it. It translates more accurately as neural sync chamber. Lieutenant Park leaned forward. Neural sync? Like mind reading? More like mind sharing, Amara explained. Veltharans have this incredible ability to link their consciousness with each other, using specialized chambers. It's how they make important political decisions, resolve disputes, and form deep bonds. When the Queen said she wants you in her bed, she means she wants to share consciousness with you in a neural sync chamber. Marcus felt his stomach drop. That's better than what I thought she meant, but also, maybe worse. Can human brains even do that? Amara's expression darkened. That's the terrible news part. I found 3 historical records of other species attempting neural sync with Veltharans. 2 resulted in permanent brain damage. 1 resulted in death. The room fell silent. So she's trying to kill me, Marcus said quietly. Maybe, Park said. Or maybe she doesn't know how dangerous it is for us. Sir, you have to refuse. We'll find another way. There is no other way. Marcus stood and paced the room. I've been reading Veltharan political protocols. Refusing a direct invitation to neural sync from their monarch is the ultimate insult. It means you consider them beneath you, unworthy of your consciousness. 3 wars in Veltharan history started because of refused sync invitations. 3 wars, Amara whispered. They take this very seriously, Marcus continued. More seriously than anything else in their culture. The Queen didn't make this invitation lightly. Every Veltharan in that throne room heard her. If I refuse, we don't just lose the negotiations. We make an enemy of their entire empire. End all. Park stood up abruptly. Then we fight. Humanity has faced worse odds. Humanity has never faced the Veltharan military, Marcus countered. They have technology centuries ahead of ours. Their fleet could reach Earth in 3 months. Our defenses would last maybe 2 weeks. He sat down again, rubbing his temples. No, fighting isn't an option. We need a different solution. Amara scrolled through more files. What if we ask for time? Explain that human biology is different. That we need to prepare? How much time would we need, Marcus asked, to develop a neural interface that won't kill you? Years. Maybe decades. We have until morning. The 3 of them sat in defeated silence. Outside, the Veltharan night had fully fallen. Strange creatures howled in the distance. Marcus watched the 3 moons slowly cross the sky. Then an idea struck him. What if we don't try to match their neural patterns? Marcus said suddenly. What if we create something new? Amara frowned. What do you mean? You said the problem is that human brains operate differently than Veltharan brains. We can't sync with them because our neural frequencies are incompatible, right? Right. It's like trying to play a human music file on Veltharan equipment. The formats don't match. Marcus stood up, energy returning. So we build an adapter. A bridge. Something that preserves both neural patterns while allowing communication between them. Park shook his head. Sir, that's never been done. Not by any species in the galaxy. Exactly, Marcus said, a smile forming. That's the most human thing possible. Taking an impossible problem and engineering our way through it. We're not as strong as Veltharans. We're not as telepathic as the Xyloth. We're not as long-lived as the Eternals. But we can build things. We can innovate. We can adapt. Amara was already pulling up neural science files. It might work. Maybe. The technology exists in theory. But building it in one night? Do we have a choice? She met his eyes and slowly shook her head. No. No, we don't. Then let's get to work, Marcus said. Park. Contact the ship. Tell them to send down every engineer. Every piece of equipment we have. Medical scanners, neural mappers, Everything. Amara, start designing the interface. I'll request a meeting with the Queen's technical advisors. Wait, Park said. You're going to tell the Velthorans what we're doing? I have to, Marcus replied. We need access to their neural sync chamber to modify it. And, he paused, I think the Queen might actually help us. This invitation, I don't think it's a trap. I think it's a test. A test? Amara asked. She wants to see if humanity is brave enough to try, smart enough to succeed. She knows it's dangerous. But she also knows that if we can pull this off, if we can create a neural bridge between our species, it changes everything. It proves humans belong in the galactic community. Marcus walked to the window and looked out at the alien city. Lights glowed in the darkness. Millions of Velthorans going about their lives. Soon, they would all know whether humanity passed or failed this test. Get me a meeting with the Queen, Marcus said firmly. If we're going to do this impossible thing, we need to start now. We have 36 hours until morning. His team scrambled into action. Marcus took a deep breath and steadied himself. Somewhere in this palace, Queen Zythera was waiting. She had thrown down a challenge that would determine humanity's future. It was time for humans to show the galaxy what they did best: the impossible. The Queen's technical chamber was unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. The walls pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. Strange machines hummed with energy that made Marcus's teeth ache. Half a dozen Velthoran technicians worked at stations, their forearms moving in blur-like motions across holographic displays. And in the center of it all stood Queen Zythera herself. She had come personally when Marcus requested the meeting. That fact alone told him something important. She was invested in this. She wanted it to succeed. You wish to modify the sacred chamber, the Queen said. It was not a question. Marcus stepped forward, holding a datapad with Amara's preliminary designs. Your Majesty, I wish to accept your invitation, but human neural structure is incompatible with Velthoran sync technology. Attempting it without modifications would kill me. I am aware, the Queen replied calmly. The room fell silent. Even the Velthoran technicians stopped working to stare. You knew? Marcus felt anger rising in his chest. You knew it would kill me? And you still? I knew it would kill you if you attempted it the traditional way, the Queen interrupted. Her voice was firm, but not hostile. I did not know if humans were clever enough to find another way. That is what I wish to learn. Marcus took a breath, forcing his anger down. Of course. It was a test. Not of bravery, but of innovation. Then let me show you what humans can do, Marcus said. He activated the datapad, projecting Amara's designs into the air. We cannot match Velthoran neural frequencies. Our brains work differently. But we can create a bi-directional interface. A bridge that preserves both neural patterns, while allowing communication between them. One of the Velthoran technicians clicked excitedly. The Queen raised one hand for silence. This has never been attempted, she said. No, Your Majesty, it hasn't. It may fail. It might, Marcus admitted. But doing nothing guarantees failure. Attempting the impossible? That gives us a chance. The Queen's compound eyes shimmered in the blue light. Marcus could not read her expression, but something in her posture changed. She seemed almost pleased. You may proceed, she said finally. My technicians will assist you. You have 36 hours. Marcus bowed. As the Queen turned to leave, she paused. Captain Chen, do not fail. For both our people's sake. Then she was gone, her guards following like shadows. The moment the door closed, chaos erupted. The Velthoran technicians swarmed Marcus, clicking and whistling rapidly. Their translator orbs worked overtime. Show us the human neural patterns. How do you process consciousness? What frequency range? Your synaptic transmission speed? Marcus was overwhelmed, But Dr. Amara burst into the room just in time, followed by Lieutenant Park and 3 human engineers from their ship. They carried cases of equipment and immediately began setting up. "Okay, everyone calm down," Amara said, projecting a human brain scan. "Let's start with basics." The work began. Hours blurred together. Marcus watched as Veltharans and humans worked side by side, passing tools, sharing data, arguing about calculations. Language barriers melted away when engineers spoke the universal language of problem-solving. The chief Veltharan technician was named Cathrex. He had dark green armor and moved with precise efficiency. He and Amara quickly formed a partnership, their minds working in sync despite being from different worlds. "The problem," Cathrex explained through his translator, "is that Veltharan consciousness operates on quantum entanglement. Your human brains use electrical and chemical signals. They are fundamentally different. And so we need a quantum electrical converter," Amara said, sketching rapidly. "Something that can translate between both systems without losing information." "Theoretically possible," Cathrex clicked thoughtfully. "But the processing power required would be enormous." One of the human engineers, a young woman named Sarah Kim, spoke up. "What about using a neural net AI as the translator? Let it learn both pattern types and convert in real time?" Cathrex's eyes brightened, actually brightened, glowing with excitement. "Yes, yes. An adaptive system. It could compensate for differences dynamically." They worked faster. Marcus helped where he could, but mostly he stayed out of the way. He was watching something remarkable happen. 2 species that barely knew each other, working together like they had been partners for years. Lieutenant Park approached Marcus quietly. "Sir, I've been doing research on Queen Zythera. You should know something." "What?" "She's not popular with everyone. There's a conservative faction in the Veltharan government. Military leaders. Old nobles. They don't want peace with humans. They see us as inferior, dangerous. I found evidence of at least 3 assassination attempts on the Queen in the past year." Marcus felt cold. "You think they might try something during the sync?" "I think if they want to kill the Queen and destroy human-Veltharan relations, sabotaging the neural sync chamber would do both at once. We need security." "Already arranged," Park said. "I've got our people monitoring all access points. And I contacted the Queen's personal guards. They're aware of the threat. And..." Marcus nodded gratefully. "Good work." The hours ticked down. 36 hours became 24, then 12. The modified chamber began to take shape. The original Veltharan neural sync bed was a crystalline pod filled with glowing fluid. Now it was surrounded by human technology, neural scanners, quantum processors, adaptive AI systems. It looked like a marriage of 2 completely different civilizations, which, Marcus realized, was exactly what it was. With 6 hours remaining, Cathrex and Amara ran the final simulations. Everyone gathered around the display, holding their breath. The simulation ran. Green lights appeared across the board. "It works," Amara whispered. "In theory, it works." Cathrex clicked with satisfaction. "The human captain will not die." "Probably." "Roan." "Probably?" Marcus asked. 93% survival chance, Cathrex clarified. "Much better than 0%. "I'll take those odds," Marcus said, trying to sound confident. But, as the team began final preparations, Marcus felt fear creeping in. This was really happening. In a few hours, he would lie down in that chamber. The Queen would join him, and their minds would connect in a way no human and Veltharan had ever experienced. If it worked, humanity gained a powerful ally. If it failed, he would die, and humanity would be alone in a hostile galaxy. Dr. Amara approached him. "Marcus, you don't have to do this. We could ask for more time." "There is no more time," Marcus said quietly. "Then let me say this." Amara met his eyes. but because you're risking it to build a bridge. To connect instead of conquer. That's what makes us human. Marcus smiled. Let's hope the Queen sees it that way too. The final hour arrived. Servants came to escort Marcus to the chamber. As he walked through the palace corridors, he passed Veltharan's citizens, who stopped and stared. Word had spread. Everyone knew what was about to happen. The chamber doors opened before him. Inside, Queen Zythera was already waiting. The chamber was smaller than Marcus expected, intimate, even. 2 crystalline pods sat side by side, surrounded by the hybrid technology his team had built. Blue light pulsed through tubes, connecting the human systems to the Veltharan biomachinery. The air smelled like ozone and something sweet he could not identify. Queen Zythera stood beside her pod. She had removed her ceremonial armor. Beneath it, her exoskeleton was a deep midnight blue, marked with patterns that might have been scars or decorations. She looked somehow more real, more vulnerable. Captain Chen, she acknowledged him with a slight bow of her head. Your Majesty, Marcus replied, his voice steadier than he felt. Dr. Amara and Catharex rushed around making final checks. Veltharan nobles and human crew members lined the walls, witnesses to this historic moment. Lieutenant Park stood near the door, his hand resting on his weapon, eyes scanning for threats. All systems ready, Amara announced. Marcus, you remember the briefing? Once the sync begins, stay calm. Let the AI bridge do its work. Don't fight the connection. I remember, Marcus said. Catharex approached the Queen, speaking in rapid Veltharan. She responded with a series of clicks that sounded almost nervous. Could the Queen be nervous? It is time, Queen Zythara said. She climbed into her pod with grace, despite her size. The crystalline surface molded around her body. Marcus took a deep breath and entered his pod. The material was warm and felt alive. It adjusted to his human shape, supporting him perfectly. Above him, displays showed his vital signs, heart rate elevated, but acceptable. Beginning synchronization sequence. Amara's voice came through speakers. Marcus, close your eyes. This will feel strange. Marcus closed his eyes. He heard humming all around him, felt vibrations through the pod. Then a tingling sensation spread across his skin, like gentle electricity. The world shifted. Suddenly Marcus was aware of something vast beside him. A presence. It was not quite thought, not quite feeling. It was consciousness itself. Alien. Powerful. Ancient. Queen Zythara. Her mind touched his carefully, like someone testing ice to see if it would hold their weight. Marcus felt her surprise. She had not expected human consciousness to feel like this warm, chaotic, bursting with emotion. Captain Chen, her thoughts came to him, clearer than any spoken words. I can feel you. Your Majesty, Marcus thought back. This is incredible. And it was. Through the connection, Marcus began to see fragments of the Queen's memories. Not everything the AI bridge filtered and translated, showing him only what his human brain could process. He saw her as a young Veltharan, smaller, learning to use her 4 arms in combat training. He felt her determination, her drive to be perfect. He saw her coronation day. The weight of the crown, the fear that she was not ready, would never be ready. He saw the conservative nobles who opposed her, felt her frustration with their closed minds, their hatred of change. They wanted war, expansion, conquest. She wanted something different, something more. You seek peace, Marcus understood, but your own people fight against you. Yes, the Queen's thoughts were tinged with sadness. They see cooperation as weakness. They cannot imagine that working with other species could make us stronger. I understand. Marcus shared his own memories. The human colonies struggling to survive. Earth's resources running thin. Humanity desperate for allies but finding only closed doors and hostile stares from the older galactic species. You are a young species, the Queen observed. So much potential, but so feared. Because we're unpredictable, Marcus realized. Because we innovate instead of following established rules. Exactly, the Queen's consciousness wrapped around his thoughts warmly. That is why I chose you, Captain Chen. I needed to know if humans could think beyond traditional solutions. If you could create instead of merely copy. Marcus felt something like pride from her. She was impressed. The neural bridge had worked, more than worked. It was proof that humanity deserved a place at the galactic table. Through their connection, Marcus sensed the Queen's vision for the future. Human innovation combined with Veltharan resources, trade, cooperation, cultural exchange. Two species growing stronger together instead of competing for scraps. It was beautiful. Then, everything went wrong. Red lights flashed across Marcus's vision. Alarm sounds screamed. The connection between him and the Queen flickered like a dying light. What is happening? The Queen's thoughts turned sharp with alarm. Through the chaos, Marcus heard shouting in the chamber. He tried to open his eyes but could not. The neural sync held him paralyzed. Sabotage! That was Cathrix's voice, high with panic. Someone has overridden the safety protocols. The system is overloading. Get them out! Amara screamed. The pods won't open. They're locked. Marcus felt pain now. Real pain. The neural bridge was breaking down. Raw Veltharan frequencies were bleeding through, incompatible with his human brain. It felt like his skull was splitting open. Captain! The Queen's thoughts reached for him desperately. Stay with me. Trying, Marcus managed. The pain was incredible. He understood now how the other species had died during sync attempts. The Veltharan neural patterns were too intense, too foreign. But through the pain, Marcus felt the Queen beside him. She was experiencing agony too. The sudden disconnection was damaging her as well. They were going to die together. Unless. An idea formed in Marcus's fracturing thoughts. The AI bridge was failing because someone had corrupted its programming. But the bridge was built on human technology. Technology Marcus understood. Your Majesty, Marcus thought desperately. I need you to trust me. Share your knowledge of Veltharan systems. Everything about this chamber. What? Trust me. Now. The Queen did not hesitate. Information flooded into Marcus's mind. Veltharan engineering principles, quantum entanglement theory, biomechanical interface protocols. It was overwhelming, too much for a human brain. But Marcus grabbed what he needed. He understood now. The sabotage had locked them in and overloaded the power systems. But there was a manual override, a physical mechanism built into the chamber itself for emergencies. The problem was it required both Veltharan and human authorization to activate. It needed both of them working together, from inside the neural link. I see it. The Queen's thoughts aligned with his. The emergency release. But we must act simultaneously. On 3, Marcus thought. The pain was blinding now. His vision filled with white light. 1. He felt the Queen's consciousness merge closer with his. 2. They were not two separate minds anymore. They were one hybrid consciousness, human and Veltharan combined. 3. Together, they triggered the emergency release. The pods exploded open. Marcus fell forward, gasping. His head felt like it was on fire. Someone caught him. Lieutenant Park. Across the chamber, Queen Zithara collapsed. Her guards rushed to support her. Get the medics, Amara shouted. Both of them. Now. But Marcus pushed Park away. He forced himself to stand, legs shaking. The Queen was also rising, her forearms trembling. Their eyes met across the chamber. And in that moment, without words, they both knew. The sabotage had failed. They had survived. And the connection they had shared, brief as it was, had changed everything. The aftermath was chaos. Veltharan guards swarmed through the chamber, searching for the saboteurs. Medics surrounded Marcus and Queen Zithara, scanning them with devices that beeped and flashed. Marcus's head throbbed with pain, but he was alive. That was what mattered. "Sir, don't move," a human medic said, pressing a scanner to his temple. "Your neural activity is all over the place. You need rest. No time." Marcus pushed the scanner away gently. He looked across the room to where the Queen stood, refusing medical attention despite her guards' protests. Lieutenant Park appeared at Marcus's side. "Sir, we found them. 3 Veltheron technicians. They planted a virus in the system during the final setup. Cathrix caught them trying to escape. Are they talking?" "Not yet. But the Queen's interrogators will make them talk." Marcus watched as the Queen spoke with her head of security, her forearms gesturing sharply. Even from across the room, he could see her anger. But there was something else too, something Marcus could sense because of their brief connection. She was not surprised by the betrayal. She had expected it. Dr. Amara approached, her face pale. "Marcus, I'm so sorry. We should have caught the sabotage. We tested everything. But it's not your fault," Marcus said firmly. "They were professionals. They knew exactly what to do." He paused. "But we stopped them. The Queen and I, working together." Amara's eyes widened. "From inside the neural link? That's incredible. You were able to coordinate, despite the system breaking down?" "More than coordinate," Marcus said quietly. "For a moment, we were completely connected. I understood her thoughts, her plans, her fears, and she understood mine." "Did it work then?" Amara asked. "The whole point of the sync?" Marcus smiled despite the pain. "Better than we hoped." Queen Zithara suddenly crossed the chamber, her guards struggling to keep up. She stopped in front of Marcus, towering over him. The room fell silent. Everyone watched. "Captain Marcus Chen," the Queen's voice boomed through her translator. "You have passed the trial." Marcus bowed, feeling every eye in the chamber on him. "No," the Queen said. "You honor yourself. And your entire species." She raised one hand, and a servant rushed forward, carrying a crystalline pendant on a silver chain. "By the ancient laws of Velthara, I declare humans to be bedworthy. You are granted the status of honored allies, with all rights and protections that entails." A gasp rippled through the Veltheron witnesses. Marcus heard Cathrix clicking excitedly. Even the conservative nobles looked shocked. "And Erexes, Your Majesty," one elderly Veltheron stepped forward, his armor covered in metals. "This is unprecedented. No species has been granted bedworthy status in 3 generations." "Then we are overdue for progress," the Queen replied sharply. She placed the pendant around Marcus's neck herself. It was warm against his chest. "Captain Chen and I have shared consciousness. I have seen the human spirit firsthand. They are worthy." The old noble bowed stiffly and retreated. But Marcus saw the hatred in his compound eyes. This was not over. The conservative faction would not accept defeat easily. But when Marcus looked at the younger Veltherans in the room, he saw something different. Curiosity. Hope. They wanted change. "Furthermore," the Queen continued, her voice carrying through the chamber, "I am creating a new position. Captain Marcus Chen will serve as the first human ambassador to the Veltheron Council. He will have a permanent seat in our governing body." This time the gasps were louder. Even Marcus was stunned. "Your Majesty," he managed. I don't know what to say." "Say you accept." The Queen's eyes shimmered with that rainbow reflection. "Your people need a voice here. And my people need to hear that voice." Marcus straightened despite his exhaustion. The Queen nodded with satisfaction. "Good. We have much work ahead. But first," she turned to her guards, Bring forward the traitors. The 3 Veltheron technicians were dragged into the chamber. They struggled against their restraints, clicking frantically. The queen approached them slowly, her presence radiating authority and anger. You attempted to murder your queen, she said coldly. And you attempted to destroy peace between our species and humanity. What defense do you offer? One of them, braver or more foolish than the others, spoke. Humans are inferior, dangerous. They will corrupt our culture, weaken our empire. We did what was necessary to protect Velthara. The queen was silent for a long moment. Then she spoke, her voice cutting. You did what was necessary? No. You acted out of fear and ignorance. Captain Chen and I faced death together in that chamber. And we survived by working together, combining human innovation with Veltheron knowledge. That is not weakness. That is strength. She turned to face the assembled crowd. Let this be known throughout the Empire. Those who commit treason in the name of preserving the past will face the harshest justice. But those who embrace the future will be rewarded. The age of isolation is over. The age of cooperation begins now. The guards dragged the traitors away. Their fate was sealed. Over the following days, Marcus worked alongside the Queen to formalize the alliance. Treaties were signed. Trade agreements were established. Human ships would have free passage through Veltheran space. In return, humans would share their technology and innovation. But the most important agreement was about the neural sync chamber. It will remain modified for human use, the Queen told Marcus during a private meeting. A permanent bridge between our species. Other humans may come and share consciousness with Veltharans. We will learn from each other. That's incredibly generous, Your Majesty, Marcus said. It is practical, the Queen corrected. But there was warmth in her tone. I have seen inside your mind, Marcus Chen. I know humanity's potential. Your species thinks differently than any other in the galaxy. You solve problems no one else can solve. You adapt, you innovate, you never give up. We're stubborn, Marcus agreed with a smile. You are survivors, the Queen said. And that is exactly what the galaxy needs. On Marcus's final day before returning to human space, he stood in the palace gardens with Dr. Amara and Lieutenant Park. The purple plants swayed in the alien breeze. Above them, the 3 moons hung in the sky. We did it, Amara said softly. We actually did it. Humanity has an ally, Park added. A powerful one. The other species will have to take us seriously now. Marcus touched the crystal pendant at his neck. It had become warm, adjusting to his body temperature, a symbol of everything they had achieved. This is just the beginning, he said. The Queen opened a door for us. But it's up to humanity to walk through it. To prove we deserve our place among the stars. And if other species test us? Park asked. Marcus smiled. Then we'll do what we always do. We'll adapt. We'll innovate. We'll find a way. A Veltheran servant approached, bowing. Captain Chen, your transport is ready. Marcus nodded and followed the servant toward the landing platform. But he paused and looked back at the palace, one last time. Somewhere inside, Queen Zithara was dealing with the conservative nobles, pushing her reforms, fighting for the future she believed in. She had taken a chance on humanity. On him, he would not let her down. As the shuttle lifted off from Velthara, carrying Marcus back toward human space, he thought about everything that had happened. A week ago, he had been terrified by the Queen's whispered invitation. Now he understood what it truly meant. She had not wanted him in her bed for romance or politics. She had wanted to know if humans could be partners, and they had proven, beyond any doubt, that they could. The stars stretched endlessly before the shuttle. Somewhere out there, other species watched and wondered about humanity. Some with curiosity, some with fear, some with hostility. But now humanity had something it never had before: an ally who understood them, who believed in them, and in the vast, competitive arena of galactic civilization that changed everything. Marcus leaned back in his seat and closed his eyes. His head still ached from the neural sync, but it was a good ache. A reminder of what they had accomplished. Humanity's place among the stars was no longer a dream. It was real. And the galaxy would never be the same. The end.